Flip the switch, turn it on. Animation's never gone. From Toontown tales to frames that glow. Behind the scenes, come join the show. It's Lightbox. Bright ideas, cartoons alive. Lightbox, where animation thrives. Sketch it, ink it, bring it to life. Let's talk anime, art, and cartoons tonight. Lightbox, the way to that way.
Oh, hello. Welcome to Lightbox, the official podcast of Wanimate, the West Australian Animation Association. Whether you're an aspiring animator, a seasoned professional, or simply a fan of the magical world of animation, you've come to the right place. I'm Tanya Beeson, and I'm going to pop us up on the screen. There we go.
Hello, I'm Lindsay.
And I'm David, but with technical issues, so you're just getting my voice tonight.
Just Dave's voice, a disembodied voice. So,
That's right.
Yes. Well,
It's totally me and not AI.
we've replaced a third of the cast with an AI voice replicator. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
It's going to have totally reasonable responses to anything we do. Also, I've told it in my prompts.
Indeed.
We're going to be your guide on this monthly journey into the heart of an animation industry in Western Australia. Each month, Lightbox will bring you the latest and greatest in animation news, from upcoming films and shows to industry discussions that will inspire and empower the talented animators who call West Australia home. We'll also delve into the creative processes, the challenges faced by our local animators as they work tirelessly to bring their unique visions to life. So buckle up and get ready to be amazed as we explore the vibrant, ever-evolving world of West Australian animation. This is Lightbox, and we're just about to get started.
But,
Something's ticking in the background. Yeah.
But before we do, we wish to acknowledge and honour the traditional custodians of the land that we're streaming from, the Wujek people of the Noongar Nation. We recognise and celebrate their enduring culture, the rich tapestry of Indigenous arts, and the invaluable contributions they make to the vibrancy and cultural diversity of this city and the region.
Cool. Well, before we dive into today's content, we'd like to issue a quick advisory warning. While our while my brain is still semi-functional, while our channel is generally suitable for most audiences, there may be occasions when we delve into topics or showcased content that might not be appropriate for the younger viewers, so watch out. We strive to create engaging and enjoyable content for everybody, but please be advised that some material may not be suitable for children. In fact, some of the stuff at the end of the show almost certainly won't be. Parental discretion is advised, and we encourage you to review the content before sharing it with younger audiences. Our goal is to provide a safe and enjoyable viewing experience for all, and we appreciate your understanding and support. Over to you, Dave.
All right, so let's head to the news then, shall we? And waiting for the slide to change.
There we go.
Yay.
Sorry, I'm in charge of it because there's no Connor floating in the background today. So I'm a little slow off the cards, and I apologize for that. I've been infected by Trump derangement syndrome. So
It's pretty common this time of year, I hear.
yeah.
So Connor's accidentally been de-resed, has he?
Okay, so what have we got? We've got Incredibles 3 announced for June the 15th, 2028. We've got we've got Freewind Season 3 has also been announced for October 2027. So that's good because Freewind just finished Season 2 and straight onto Season 3. There's been a few other Season 3s that have come up as well, but the anime seasons have been renewed. But Freewind's the one that I really care about, so that's the one I'm speaking. And Ted Nichols has passed away at 97. The composer's iconic music was used on the Flintstones, Scooby-Doo, Josie and the Pussycats, Johnny Quest, etc. So
Wow.
Josie and the
you've likely
Pussycat.
heard some of the. If you're a vintage cartoon fan, you've definitely heard some of his works in the past.
Yes.
And finally, OpenAI is shutting down the social media app Sora, which went viral as a place to share short-form videos generated by artificial intelligence.
Oh, dear.
But it also raised a lot of alarms, assuming actually there's various ways it raised alarms.
Gosh,
Poaching other people's creative work and IPs is definitely one of those sort of things. And it also led to a cancellation of a contract with which it had with Disney. As a result.
And there's only so many ways we can watch Will Smith eat pasta.
Yeah, it's in hindsight, I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. But the amount of time, effort, and computing power required to generate any kind of digital video is pretty extraordinary. And they were just giving it out like sweets in the back of an unmarked van for little kiddies to ingest. So, yeah, odd business model.
Yeah.
So,
One other piece of possible news, not on the not on the actual script, but it just popped up today. Avatar, the new movie set, Avatar, the Last Airbender Avatar, not Avatar, things running around. Avatar: Last Airbender, the latest Aang movie, which is due out later this year, I believe, in Paramount Plus.
October. It's out in October.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some reports that it might have leaked online early. There's a couple of minutes of footage that has definitely appeared.
I'm hearing reports in that it was mistakenly sent out, and that the servers which were holding it were hacked. I'm more inclined to think it was the first.
You're thinking mistake rather than hacking. Interesting. I think hacking's quite likely a possibility as well. So who knows? But yeah. So don't, even if it's Paramount, don't pirate it. I think it's probably the go.
There you go, kids. A heartwarming moral for our modern age. How is our modern age coming along anyway?
Please don't pirate.
Yeah, look,
Right.
I think there's argues about media ownership at this moment in time, and the sort of monopolies we're having formed. But yeah, that's a different discussion.
After all, you wouldn't download a car part, would you? Or print a gun? Oh wait.
Yeah. Alrighty,
Wow.
Shall we move on to what's coming soon and perhaps do a little bit brighter topic?
Okay.
Sure. Where are we? That one. Is that where we're supposed to be?
Yeah, it's a bit mixed up, but yes, it is. Okay, so coming soon. So first off, I'll just mention the Spring 2026 anime lineup has started. So keep an eye out for returning favorites such as Dr. Stone, Reborn as a Vending Machine, ReZero, that time I got reincarnated as a slime, Ascendance of the Bookworm, A Classroom of the Elite, Doro Head Doro, I'll get it right, and One Piece. As for new offerings, look, definitely keep an eye on Witch Hat Atelier. That is beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. But having said that, the voice work. I don't know if I'll be able to make it through, which is a shame because everything else about it is just top notch. And it's just me. It's just me. Rooster Fighter, which is, if you could imagine AFC as a battle shonen anime, then that looks to be what Rooster Fighter is all about. Liar's Game, which is a classic manga that's taken decades to actually come into fruition as an anime. And Demons of the Shadow Realm, which is by the same animator responsible for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, I believe. So, yeah, that's interesting. All right, so what else has come out is we've seen actually backtrack again. Yeah,
Sorry.
that's fine. So what else has come out? We've already had Shadow Lord, More Shadow Lord premiere on Disney. Those 2 episodes are out. Again, worth a look. It's got a beautiful painterly style that's slightly different than usual, and the soundtrack is absolutely killer. Usamame, Pretty Derby, beginning of a new era. So that's April 16th. That's coming out. It's an anime film based on a phone game, which is about female horse racing. And I don't mean it's historical horses classed as women doing a running around the track. It sounds insane, but for some other reason, it's got beautiful animation and strong storyline. And it is an autobiographical horse film. I mean, with the exception that it's got human beings cast as horses instead of Japanese. It's bizarre. It is a bizarre thing. It is an interesting anime. I haven't had a look at it, but it just everything I've heard described about just kind of makes me scratch my head as how is this a thing, but it's a thing. April 16, we're also seeing Dandelion coming out to Netflix. April 20th, we've got My Hero Academia's kind of final coda with You're Next, which is a movie, and it's topping off the series, which is already completed. April 23rd, we have The Last Blossom, again in cinemas, this is, and it's a film about a Yakuza nearing the end of his life. By the director responsible for Odd Taxi. So if you know anything about Odd Taxi, you know this might be worth a look. April 23rd, we also have Stranger Things, Tales from 1985, which is the animated series, filling in a blank between. Now, we did go through this the last episode, and I still can't remember. Is it season 3 and season 4 of Stranger Things, Tanya?
Yes. I think it's season 2 and season 3 because
okay, cool.
Because season 2 is 1984, and then season 3 I think is 86.
Cool, thanks. I know it was around season 3. I just couldn't guess which side it was. So April 27th, songs in sign language. So a couple of popular Disney numbers recontextualized for people who speak sign language. So that would be interesting to take a look at. I'm curious to see what they actually do with that. April 30th, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, the movie, and that Tears of the Azure Sea. So that's coming briefly to cinemas.
I blame anime fans. I blame anime fans for those titles. It's just
it's running out of.
It's not anime fans. It's actually Japanese light novels, I think, that are responsible for those titles. They've just been adapted into anime. So yeah,
they were running out of acronyms, I think.
Yeah, we're not even going to play that game. I know that aggravates Tanya. All right, so let's go look at some of the local screenings that are coming.
Sure.
So we've got April 16th, Cowboy Bebop, the movie. I believe that's part of the Luna Tokyo Nights. April 18th, Howl's Moving Castle. April 19th, 101 Dalmatians. April 25th, those Revival House are the last two. April 25th, Princess Mononoke. May 2nd, Iron Giant. May 2nd, Akira in 4K, and that I believe is the
crikey.
Yeah. May 3rd, The Fox and the Hound. So yeah, Revival House is definitely harvesting all the tears of children they can get between that and Iron Giant. May 7th.
Come. That's basic family fare once upon a time.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of trauma we had just growing up. We've discussed
That's
this
right.
before.
They always had a storm or some event or something happening. and
We
somebody
had
passes
whole
away.
episodes devoted to our trauma. So yeah,
That's right. They had life lessons and all that stuff.
So May 7th, Spirit of the Way, and May 9th, Gundam Hathaway is showing at event in preparation for the new Gundam Hathaway movie that's coming out.
just as a lead-in for till the Devil Wears Prada 2 for the other Hathaway.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's entirely what it is. Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay. So, long story short, we're eating good. There's a lot out, and there's a lot either of anime series, or traditional animation, or American animation that we can see and enjoy.
Definitely go out. Like Akira, obviously. Go and see it. If you've not seen Akira, if you've not seen Akira on the big screen, go and see it on the big screen. Like, absolutely, it's one of those main anime films that you should watch. Spirited Away as well. Everyone loves Studio Ghibli. But yeah.
If you're Gundam Hathaway is quite great as well. But that just might be me sitting there going yay about. Although I have to admit, I don't know if I've seen. No, I have seen Manjar on the big screen, but it's been a while. That is also tempting me.
Well, the Luna cinemas are slowly transforming into the legendary Valhalla cinemas of Melbourne and Sydney.
That's Luna, Revival House, and Events Fair.
I totally agree.
Doing it, so yeah, it's good that we've been catered to, and there's a lot there. So
a whole century's worth of stuff. Even the Fox and the Hound will be worth your time. So that's the Dark Disney period, is it not?
Yeah, it is, and we're going to be mentioning a little bit of that as well this month with our monthly topic. So let's
leap into that because we don't have our titles. Thanks, Connor. Like the title parts. Yeah.
So I might not have said through any title things or anything for it.
Yeah,
so.
It's fine. It's fine. We'll just berate him later. So
Cool.
So this month we're doing a retrospective of Phil Tippett. And I guess we should probably say why we're doing this, because as an artist, his career covers an epoch change in special effects and animation, shifting from stop motion to computer animation. He started basically at what I think to be said as a renaissance in special effects in 1977, and and then it went through one of the most radical changes we've seen in the digital age. I thought that's what we're covering. So I'll just do a quick bio of him first. So he was born in 1951. He's got a Bachelor of Arts, University of California, Irvine. And as a kid, he was inspired by Ray Harryhausen's Seven Voyages of Sinbad. He read a lot of, I think it's what's Ackerman's fanzine? Was it Famous Monsters? And when he was growing up, and had actually ended up meeting Forrest J. Ackerman with a few other special effects artists and students at the time. So if you don't know about Forrest J. Ackerman, study up on him. His work as far as preservation of geek and special effects history is certainly something to be recognised. All right.
Well, Tippett was one of the founding members of ILM, or near enough. He would have been part of that pool of like-minded dudes, all in their 20s, that would have been generalists or jack of all trades, but they would have had overlapping skills. So there would be, most of them weren't traditional movie people either. They would have been people like machinists, animators, artists, all that sort of stuff. he came to work with animation and visual effects in mind, and most of them were learning on the job. So the thing about Star Wars when it came out, it was like it completely reinvented. In fact, it completely changed Hollywood. Hollywood was sort of falling to bits. It was being bought up by every man and his dog, and then suddenly Star Wars kind of reinvigorated it, and it essentially commercialized all the visual effects that 2001 in 1968 had pioneered with Douglas Trumbull. But it was big and slow, and you know, in an age of big models, blue screens, stop motions, matte paintings, early regular use of or irregular use of computer graphics, rostrums, you know, essentially the Oxberry rostrum camera is essentially a kind of simple motion control rig if you think about it. Basically, 2001 had 35 effects. Star Wars had 365, and those 365 included just about every type of visual effect you could think of in the old steam-driven days. Nowadays, 2,000 plus digital effects. It's not unusual, and you know, lots of sequels and lots of by the numbers, machine-made content in the sausage factory that we call our modern movie. But basically, Phil's starting out at this point, and I think he designed a couple of masks for the Cantina aliens, but he's probably most remembered for the chess set animation on the Millennium Falcon. And that was the thing that kind of, I remember that in the cinema and the whole audience getting, oh, look, it's like the old-fashioned films. And yeah, it basically kind of helped cement the whole all-round hermetic feel of Star Wars. But he's really well remembered for The Empire Strikes Back, and for two things, the Tauntauns and the AT&Ts. So these were the things that, I mean, Empire's a weird film. It's kind of made back to front. They had this epic conclusion battle at the beginning, and then they worked backwards to the end. But the thing that really made it stand out was, you know, the opening shot of, I think, Luke on his Tauntaun, seen from a helicopter shot. So they combined stop motion with motion cameras, or motion control cameras. And so you had this incredible exhilaration at the time about a stop motion character as though it was shot from a helicopter, which was pretty impressive. Then in 1981, around the same time, Phil Tippett sort of pioneered Dragon Slayer, or rather, I should say, pioneered Go Motion in a film called Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer's, I think, arguably one of the best film dragons out there, although I got to say, Smorg's pretty freaking respectable. But it had a bit of a problem in the early days because it kind of got stuck between Clash of the Titans, the last of the Ray Harryhausen type films, and Raiders of the Lost Ark. So it sort of got squeezed out by an incredibly dense year of visual effects, fantasy, and science fiction and horror. But it did pioneer Go Motion, and Go Motion is like stop motion, except everything's still moving when you're taking your exposed frame. So normally you just move something, take a shot, move something again, take a shot, and you get this you know, Wallace and Gromit look. Go Motion attempts to include motion blur in all the movement that you're doing. So often they'd have motorized characters or movement or something like that, where the character blurs as it's being motioned or stop motioned, or as it's being animated. And that gives us a much more realistic looking effect. So definitely check out Dragon Slayer. It came out in 1981. It's actually quite a mature film. It's aged really well. And yeah, it's a good all-rounder. And that was the thing about Dragon Slayer. You could sort of see the beginnings of his Go Motion work there. I think in 1983, he was working on the Rancor miniature and a bit of character animation with that. I'm not sure if he did anything else. I think he might have done one of the maquettes for Jabba the Hutt or something like that. But you know, these things are big collaborative efforts there. Then he made something called Prehistoric Beasts. So the idea was that it was going to be an educational film, but apparently it was too frightening for kids. So watch out, kids. So you want to see a really good educational film, go and see Prehistoric Beasts.
I'll just perk up. The actual Prehistoric Beast is available on Phil Tippett's YouTube channel. It's about,
Oh,
and general reason I bring it up is because it's one of the things that got in the job of Jurassic Park. So, although he didn't get to sell it as educational purposes, because it's basically equivalent of some Primal episodes. Basically, it's pretty dark, but
oh wow, sounds great.
yeah, I see it. It's like 17 minutes at the most, and yeah, it's worth it. All right, continue on. Just need to interrupt for that.
All right, yeah, okay. So another example of a really intricate and interesting monster, even though the film that it was in was a bit all over the place, was Howard the Duck. I haven't seen much. I vaguely saw bits of Howard the Duck back in the early 80s, or mid 80s, actually. I think it's 86. And there's this spectacularly complicated stop motion monster at the end of the climax that's running around chasing after people. It looks like something. It's definitely a post thing from another world monster with lots of spiky bits and teeth and bits going in all directions, lots of tendrils and stuff. But it's pretty good. But
it's an alien to like rivals the stuff, similar design stuff that came later in CG, like Men in Black's aliens.
That would be a much better way of describing it. But of course, all that would have been overshadowed in 1986 because Howard the Duck bombed at the box office. It was, I think, one of Lucas's spectacular failures, if I remember rightly.
It wouldn't have been the romance between, teenage girl and duck.
I think it's also
parents. You may want to put your hands over your kids' ears right now.
It needs to be stated. This is the first Marvel movie to make the big screen officially.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm shocked. Okay.
We did get some of the TV movies shown on the big screen with Spider-Man. But, that was the first Marvel movie. Howard the Duck is the first Marvel superhero movie, and it bombed spectacularly.
Oh yeah, really spectacularly. That was.
I don't know how.
Oh, I can. I remember it. The center burning up in orbit and re-entry and just crashing and burning at the time. No one had a nice thing to say about it.
It's full of so many awesome punny sequences.
But the whole film didn't hold together. It had lots of little moments. If they had YouTube back then, it might have survived. But anyway, all this is sort of moot, really, because all of that was completely overshadowed by two other films. And the first one would have been RoboCop, with its wonderful Ed 209. Now, Ed 209 must be the platonic ideal of what a chicken leg robot looks like. It basically was very influential. It had a lot of character and all the rest of it. The other one would have been Willow. So there's a fantastic double-headed monster called the Ebosisk, which was named after two film critics.
Grows out of the corpse of a troll. Yeah,
that's right. Someone gets transformed into this thing, and it's basically named after two film critics, a pair of guys called Ebert and Siskel, who were notable film critics on American television at the time. A bit like a David and Margaret, if you can remember the SBS movie show.
It's like a Hydra style monster, and I remember it having an awesome sort of cough motion before it breathed fire. Yeah,
it had two heads too, which made it even more interesting. Now, Willow's actually a pretty good film. I wonder how that. I haven't seen that for decades. I remember being wowed by it when it came out in the 80s, but I haven't seen it since.
Do it.
Oh, okay, I'll do it. And the other big one, although the film's not very memorable, but some of the visual effects in it are pretty good, was RoboCop 2, when they had another evil robot fighting our good old RoboCop. And that was the Kane robot. Now, the Kane robot's a funny mix of things. First of all, at the time, it was an incredibly complicated bit of metal ironmongery. It had about 800 parts or something like that. They certainly, bragged about all its stats at the time. And the film's a violent sequel. It was written by Frank Miller. Now, you might know Frank Miller from The Dark Knight Returns and some of those Daredevil comics back in the day before he kind of went a bit weird after September 11 and became a bit of a hard right sort of guy. We lost the plot. So Frank Miller was the comic book artist in demand at the time, and he was told to write a project that was the sequel to RoboCop by a bunch of producers that thought that the only reason why RoboCop worked was because of all the ultra violence in it, and most of the subtle satire went clean out the window. So it was a very brutal film to watch and sit through.
Do we need to talk about Verhoeven at some point?
Possibly. But if you know your RoboCops, you probably know what I mean by the satire that was in Verhoeven's films. He's a real mix of conflicting elements of Verhoeven, but he's well worth your time. But the Came Robot was interesting because at the time it had really small legs and it was top heavy. And the other thing I remember was its Apple-based operating system and its scary codpiece. So watch out, kids. And the Lawnmower Man graphics in it. I think that the villain's head was some kind of weird, crappy, polygonal thing on a CG screen, which does bring the whole thing down. But the actual, the way the robot moves and the way it all acts out, it's pretty amazing, even though it's all a bit, full on ultraviolence. But yeah.
I'll just butt in a couple of seconds there.
Yeah, go for it. Here we go.
One of the funniest things I've heard is Tippett actually saying how much him and Verhoeven got along on a political level. The first time I've ever heard someone state that about Verhoeven, they're normally going, "God damn, he's weird." But him and Tippett got along like a house on fire, apparently. So that's yeah. The other thing, the story behind the complexity of the Kane robot is the Ed 209 was knocked off by Japanese vinyl kits a couple of months after release because it was made to be look like a generic manufactured robot. So it was very simple in its design aspects. So they went absolutely overboard with the design of the Kane robot. The Swiss Army knife of arms that it unleashes at one stage. And
that's right.
Everything about that is individually made. Every sort of aspect of it isn't entirely symmetrical. And it's a very hard model, apparently, to reproduce any sort of replicas or anything along those lines.
Well, the thing about Ed 209 is that it makes instant perfect sense when you look at it, and yet when you look at it, it's actually quite nuanced when it behaves itself. I think, didn't StarCraft have a unit that looked like that? I'm pretty sure.
Yes,
what's that?
What are Gladiator? No, what are they called? Gladiators?
Yeah, I know what I mean. Had the shot aircraft out of the sky or something, or Zerglings out of the sky. Sorry, Mythalisks out of the sky. Remembering all my names, but yeah, it was such a sensible, exactly what you'd imagine a giant robot the size of a small car stomping around would look like. It felt like
Goliath.
It looked like a walking tank.
Yeah.
And it kind of complemented the RoboCop with its head and all the rest of it, and its little kind of visor over its face. And the fact that it looks like it's shouting orders at you the whole time. But no, it's a great bit of design work there. It's really good. What else was there? Oh, yes. Now, all this is leading up to the big one, and that was Jurassic Park. Now, Jurassic Park is the film that nearly undid Phil Tippett. He was doing a whole pile of puppet setups and stop motion or go motion setups with the things like the raptors and stuff like that. And if you can find his old stop motion tests, they look quite amazing. I mean, they look very stop motion. And then someone showed a demonstration of CGI dinosaurs to Steven Spielberg. And Phil Tippett was in the meeting at the time, and he thought, oh, dear God, there goes my career. And so basically what he did is that he essentially retooled in the middle of a show on deadlines and all that stuff, and basically taught himself 3D animation from scratch and digital production in general. Went back and produced some amazing stuff with the digital dinosaurs that we all know and love today. Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all right. I'll just interrupt. Yeah, it really did knock me for a loop. Some of the interviews I've seen with him, there's a good special from Vice that's floating around YouTube on the Vice channel. That's got a 15-minute sort of documentary interview, especially focuses around this time. He was very sick at the time, very depressed at the time. I think he was even having suicidal thoughts at the time from the way he described. And he was, I think he just said later that he's just diagnosed as unipolar. He's viewing himself as prone to depression and anxiety at that stage. So he was giving an interview. So he was talking about those sort of aspects of mental health and how the project affected him. And you're right, he did think his career was absolutely over. He thought his life might be over as well. He didn't just he retaught himself how to do animation, but he also contributed something else. There's a strange hybrid rig setup that they have in Jurassic Park called the DIDs. Digital interactive dinosaurs, I think that refers to. And what that is a kind of a hybrid rig, a physical skeletal armature rig for a dinosaur that's got stop animation people to move and animate like they would an animation.
I remember this. Yeah.
And the reason they're doing that is because the digital animators they had in there didn't give aspects of weight to their creations. They'd come through a different stream of schooling. They'd come through from like logo design or quick, speedy animation sort of designs, and they didn't have that sort of heft or weight that you need to convey a creature like a dinosaur, or specifically a T-Rex, tearing apart a car. So that digital armature enabled them to get readings of that sort of movement and the way things should move in that regard, to have that sense of weight, and then able to pop it through for a computerized skin later.
So, that rings quite a few bells actually, because there was a number of gadgets that you could buy for your desktop in the early 90s. They flowered briefly in the early digital days, or at least the early 90s, before they all vanished. And there were like things where you could record animation, like you'd have like an hand arm type thing where you could use it to kind of record points and stuff. And then they had their whole full dinosaur version of that. But basically they were dealing with people that were essentially not character animators, but graphic artists essentially. Most of that stuff would have come from either desktop publishing or logos, flying logos and commercials. Very few of them would have actually used digital animation for character animation. When I was working at Animal Logic in the early mid-90s, we were just starting to get into that. And the people that were really moving that stuff was Pixar. And they were the ones that everybody was sort of keeping an eye on. And that's when rumors were abounding of this amazing thing in the ether called Toy Story. So there were kind of two streams going on. There was the old Phil Tippett kind of Ray Harryhausen traditional practical one, and then there was there it is. Then there was the oncoming storm, the Pixar revolution. Yeah. Oh, there it is. That's those little rigs. They're kind of cool.
The rigs, yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, you'd have something where you'd have sensors all over the thing, and it would just record X, Y, and Z as points, and then the computer would work out where it was connected and stuff. These, like I said, they used to have robot arm contraptions for these sort of things, or in some cases, you'd record with a puck, which was like a kind of drawing stylus, but instead of having a pen, you'd have a mouse with a little crosshair on it, and they'd use pucks to kind of design models that were more complicated than boxes or something. And occasionally people would use them to kind of define animation. But yeah, it's all pretty cool. It's sort of like a precursor to things like motion capture, except it's stop motion, not actual moving motion. Yeah, it's a pretty nifty idea, actually. Anyway, I think around that time, he did a few other things as well. Like he worked on Dragonheart, I think. His studio was commissioned to build and animate that. Okay, there's Howard the Duck. And basically, I don't know. They basically were responsible for kind of designing and surfacing the Draco character and probably blocking it out. I don't know if they did any of the final animation. The other one was Starship Troopers. So they have those amazing bug shots, which are, you know, fully CGI and highly spectacular. And you never get a sense that these things look like anything other than giant, dangerous bugs the size of small cars that are going to go off and eviscerate you.
Yeah, just to interrupt there again as well. Yeah, one of the things that they did is they did a lot of work on the maquettes. Like they were quite articulate and used as painting and lighting references for the digital assets. So they actually have those on set at the time of filming, pop them down, take a few photos of where it's roughly going to be, so they have an idea of how it's actually going to look in the environment, how it's going to be lit in the environment as well, and we're able to integrate that into the digital special effects they did later, which is phenomenal. Well,
Tippett, I think for Dragonheart they went through something like 20 to 30 different maquettes just designing the dragon alone before they finally settled on something. I mean, it took a long time to sort out. I imagine they were trying to balancing the practicalities of building a physical model and trying to build the thing in 3D at the time.
Well, they'd gone from the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park straight into having a character, an actual talking character that's interacting with other actors as part of for the first time, really, in that film.
It definitely felt like a CGI thing at the time. Everything seemed overacted. Every last part seemed to be doing something. There was no sense of minimalism or anything. So in some respects, in hindsight, it always felt like juniors when they animate character animation for the first time. There's lots of overkill. But they had to do something like 25 minutes of animation for Draco. They only did about, 6 minutes for dinosaurs and Jurassic Park. A lot of that was still very much practical. And, you know, the Tippett Studios were also making other stuff as well. There's a funny little horror film called The Gate. Do you know it? 1987? Kid discovers a dimensional portal with all these little demons coming. And there's like a final end boss demon that's all full stop motion. I think they were doing really clever things. They had one of these old dudes that had worked on all these amazing films like The Seven Faces of Dr. Leo and stuff like that knew all these practical on-set tricks to use, like oversized arms and legs as props to make a small demon look like a small demon, and little weird things like that. And it's full. The Gate's interesting for just looking at his film that uses all this old school stuff, and then you get a Phil Tippett creation at the end, which is pretty cool. The other one is Coneheads. I had no idea about this until just very recently. Apparently, there's a sort of prequel style arena monster fight where Dan Aykroyd has a battle with a stop motion Tippett creation.
He's not credited for this on IMDb.
Oh, you're sounding like you're underwater, David.
Sorry.
I think he's...
Is that better?
That's much better.
Yeah, he's not credited for it on IMDb, but he is. He did post it on one of the socials.
I think he did. It's a real surprise.
Yeah, so I'm not sure the status of that, whether he did it or he's helping do it on the quiet, because there's a lot of collaborative effort going on at that time as well, with especially with the old Star Wars crew and ILM crew, and helping out in that regard. So
would have been light relief compared to what he was going through at the moment. I think that was from what I understand, that was probably one of the last stop motion jobs he did before he before he began his great odyssey on the Mad God. And Mad God is his magnus opus, I guess. It's his big personal project. It was released in 2021. It had a 30-year history getting born. During the middle of that, he'd actually gone through his mental issues, his psychological issues. And he described himself as unipolar, which resulted in him being hospitalized for a short time. And unipolar, I think, is like being what they used to call manic depressive, but you're only one or the other. There's no oscillating between two extremes. You just kind of end up in one, and that's the end of it. So this is sort of like a personal odyssey for him. It reminds me a little bit of Terry Gilliam venting in Brazil and some of the other films. It also reminds me of David Lynch's surreal subconscious films like Eraserhead and Lost Highway, in the sense that at first glance it makes no sense at all, yet subconsciously there's a kind of consistency and a thematic unity through it. And it keeps you, it goes for 90 minutes, keeps you engaged the whole time. Be warned though, it is incredibly dark and grim, very Dantean. There's a lot of confronting stuff in there, like genuinely confronting. And I think the stop motion exacerbates that, because you've got texture and stuff in everything. Especially in the first third, which I found was like, whoa, my goodness. It was like quite challenging in some respects. I don't know whether I'd switched gears by that point and everything else seemed quite tame by comparison, or what, but it was pretty full on. So the way to see it is that there's no dialogue in it. It's basically the proverbial animated character walking through this universe of subterranean hellish levels that seem to be stacked on top of each other. So it's very Dantean in that respect. And essentially, some of these sets and set pieces are extraordinarily complicated. I mean, some of these sets apparently took years to make. I guess that was intermittent. And it's like the rubbish bin of history, a hellish landscape with different epochs that we segue through. And that's probably the best way to see it. It feels very episodic, where a character walks through it and it starts off, you see a whole new introduction to this whole new realm or whole new color scheme or whatever it is. And then kind of sitting there boggling at what's going on, and before it sort of sorts itself out and resolves itself. This kind of little 3-act structure is repeated all the way through it. The central character is a character called the Assassin, who basically is a lone trench-coated figure. He's got a tin helmet and a gas mask that looks like they've just crawled out of a sort of cyberpunk version of World War I. And it's, I guess you could say, it's got like the horror level, the war level, the torture level, the surgery level, all kinds of things. It really does feel like, definitely made by someone that's taken a few hallucinogenics in their time, gone to the center of the world and had a conversation with their cat about their career. And it's definitely an example of the catharsis for art. Tippett basically based it on his dreams, but not literally. He wasn't like mining it for weird content or anything. What he was really interested in, it seems, was the structure of dreams. It's like he was sort of making the point that most of our stories and visions and myths come from somewhere, and storytelling is intrinsic to being human. And basically the first point of departure is dreams. And so he's basically did that. So he was dreaming quite prolifically and basically using it as inspiration and writing it all down for his project. Now, so he relied on his dreams to structure and arrange the thing, though he wasn't doing anything literal. So, like I said before, he has this 3-part thing. You make a statement, you establish something, and then you kind of, there's a second part of that where it just feels confusing and bizarre and weird and strange as your dreaming mind tries to sort it out. And then eventually there's a resolution before we segue on to the next little sequence that repeats the whole process. Yeah, it's interesting. It's what you would call an epic nightmare. And there's a vast amount of methods and techniques on play here. There's a bit of live action. There's quite a lot of stop motion. There's a bit of puppetry. I think there's a whole pile of forced perspective and macro photography, like really close up of chemical reactions and oil and water and bubbles and all kinds of weird and strange things. A bit like the end of 2001. There's a whole trippy scene where Kubrick's there with his petri dish pouring different colored chemicals into into a Petri disk and trying to make it look like a galaxy while shooting it on a 70mm camera. It's quite amazing. It went through a 3-year hiatus in the middle of that 30 years. I suspect that's when he would have been hospitalized and going through his moment of truth, I guess. And then the last 13 years, he essentially rebooted it and got it back on track again. And to his surprise, he found he had a huge pool of volunteers that were keen to help him out on that. So plenty of Phil Tippett fans out there in the universe. So he had lots of college and high school people helping him out on this thing. And a lot of them have essentially become stop motion animators themselves. And I think a couple have gone off and established their own studios. So it was all good in the end. And when he finally put it to bed, finished the whole thing, resolved it, sorted it all out, the dream stopped. So that was interesting. So yeah, catharsis. Interesting. It's definitely going to be his defining moment, I think.
Absolutely. This is one of those that it's a showcase because it shows all he could have done given the freedom to do it. Imagine if he had the money as well to book to that. So it was something. And yeah, apparently, like during that 30-year run that he was working on it, people at his studios or at his workplace saw bits and pieces of it, and they were wondering what he was doing. And they were thinking, is this some underground Czech animation that we haven't seen? Oh, show us it,
No.
Yeah, I'm working on this. It's like, you can see
him up
but you can see the similarities between some of the early Czech animation and some of the 70s and 80s Czech animation.
Jan Spunkmass brings to mind. And the Brothers Key, although they're not a patch on the scale and expertise here, it's really quite something. All those characters are fully realized stop motion puppets, like as weird and strange and deformed as some of them look, which gives you at first glance this kind of misleading sense that they're just a random collection of stuff slapped together, but they're not. They're fully designed and fully articulated and fully rigged and fully everything. There's also this fantastic use of texture. It really is quite extraordinary. And it's all glued together with digital compositing and all the rest of it. And so, yeah, some of that was a bit obvious, but overall, I didn't care. It kind of worked really well. So yeah, it's quite extraordinary. But yeah, the first third was probably the most confronting, I think. I think after that, it all kind of settled in a bit. But yeah, and there's all kinds of different tones and feels to it as well. Definitely worth your while. I was holding off to watch it on the big screen for the first time, but instead I kind of had to cram for this podcast, so I watched it earlier today. And even though it was like a bright sunny day and there was a cat purring on my desk beside me, I disappeared for 90 minutes. It was quite amazing. So yeah, but yeah, not for the kids. Hell no.
No. Cool.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Go on. No, absolutely, go on.
So that's basically like we'll probably leave the career there. He's still working. He's doing other things. He was in Skeleton Crew a few years back, doing a bit of stop motion there. But yeah, Mad God is definitely going to be, I think, the work that he's remembered for as an animator. It's such a profound piece.
Definitely.
He's something of a mad god himself in that. like definitely. Just the sheer workhorse effort he's put into everything that he's created. Going through all the big films and technically brilliant but not successful films as
There's
well.
a whole pile of films on the side, like Howard the Duck and the Coneheads, that you would not expect to see a Phil Tippett production in.
Well, stop motion dragon that is still the pinnacle of dragon animations. I don't think it's been surpassed.
Well, unless you're
the
talking
Dragon
Smog, maybe.
No, even then, Smog is, you know, the motion capture of Benedict Cumberbatch.
True. True.
Cumberbatch as
So it's a whole different.
like
Oh, sorry.
the Dragon and Dragon Slayer is like hand animated still. There's a lot going on, you know, and you definitely feel, even though it is 80s level, you know, special effects, that Peter McNichol is being threatened as part of those scenes. So yeah,
Definitely. It's definitely a good film. You should check it out.
Vince Pejorative was such a badass who was able to kill the Emperor. I mean, that you need a headless Christopher Walken to do the same, don't you?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the weird thing is, there's a couple of moments in that film I remember quite distinctly. Like, I think hiding behind a shield with a blast furnace from a dragon coming at him. But it's the plot points in the background I remember the most, though. The kind of transition from pagan to Christian, which was one of them, and the politics that were going on around at the time. Like, you know, the king comes up at the end of the whole film and thinks, "Oh, look, the dead dragon. Well done." They just forget now Dragon Slayer's there. He's done his job. He's out the door, and then the king gets there, pokes the corpse with his little dainty king sword, and gets proclaimed the killer of all dragons. Yeah, it's quite a nice touch.
He was, however, like beaten out in terms of, because Dragon Slayer didn't do as well in the box office, pretty much because of Spielberg, who was pushing the limits with Raiders, and of course the guy that Phil Tippett had idolized when he was younger, Ray Harryhausen, at the same time, the Clash of the Titans. So yeah,
he definitely got pipped at the post. But you got to say that was, I mean, the amount of stuff coming out in the first half of the 80s, there's some freaking legendary stuff coming out all at once. It's quite an amazing period. Early 80s visual effects, when the post-ILM crew, or the ILM era, I guess you could say, is hitting its stride. They're all established now. They're not in their 20s anymore. Some of them are hitting their 30s. And they've all made amazing films like Blade Runner and stuff like that. And
yeah,
there's a real high watermark there. It's really quite an amazing period. Definitely a golden age for fantasy films. I keep forgetting just how many fantasy films are made during the 1980s. In fact, there's a huge number even in the 70s, prior and around Star Wars. So,
I saw that Sword and the Sorcerer is out on Blu-ray now. So
I have seen that.
Yeah,
it's tempting. It's tempting.
You know, it's cheesy as hell. I love it.
It's great. The old three-way sword, pretty good.
Yeah.
Double-barreled sword, I think is the way you could describe it.
Yeah.
Conan exploitation before Conan actually was released. So
yeah, got in quick. Yeah.
It tips it by about a month, and that's other film. So it's first film, and it's extraordinary. Yeah, it's a very good space, but yeah, very good.
It's a rich trove to mine, shall we say?
Well, we have reached the end of our story on Phil Tippett. So, is there any last things that we want to add before we throw these people into the void of the Mad God?
It seems like Dave's preceded us. I would say, I've met the original Ray Harryhausen and seen all his models living in their little battered suitcase that he used to do in his little traveling lecture tours, which was quite cool. But I have to say, if I was going to be a fan, I'd have to be a Phil Tippett fan first. Ooh. I think in terms, I really appreciate what Ray did. And but I think in terms of like just the fact that he changed direction mid Spielberg film.
No, so the in the same way that Hawking stood on the shoulders of Einstein. Yeah, we can say that Phil Tippett stood on the shoulders of Harryhausen, and definitely, yeah.
O'Brien as well. Is it Miles O'Brien? No, oh God, brain's just not filling in. King Kong.
What's his name?
Animator.
I'll never forget what's his name.
Yeah. I was gonna say because Willis O'Brien. There's sort of history of dinosaurs because you got Willis O'Brien for Lost World, Harryhausen for Valley of Gwangi, and then
The Most Dangerous Game too.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Most Dangerous Game is a cheesy little thriller that pioneered.
Willis O'Brien is.
Yeah,
it's Willis O'Brien.
Yeah, I got there eventually. I was just PS9ing it first, apparently.
Whatever happened to Fay Ray? Anyway, we should all let everyone go to there for the evening, and I'm gonna say see you later from me.
Oh, see you later, Tanya.
Nice.
I believe next we meet will be May the 4th. Now, we'll discuss Star Wars last episode and Star Wars this episode. So I wonder what's going to happen on May the 4th.
Are we gonna do a trilogy?
There might be something sci-fi related. Yes. Alrighty.
Nice.
So think about it. That and see you in May.
We'll see you in May.
All right. We'll
Bye,
catch you later.
people.
See ya.
I've got to press buttons. Hold on.
Oh, well.